Wear a $14 pair of socks 5 times. The elastic collapses. The heel slides under the arch. The toe seam splits open inside a dress shoe halfway through a workday. You feel the ridge with every single step. There is no fixing it. That is open-end spun construction. Short fibers twisted loosely by air, cheap to produce, rough on skin, and dead within weeks. We tested 8 sock brands. 5 fell apart before the second month. 3 are still going after years. Same drawer, same daily wear, opposite lifespans. Starting with a brand that charges multi-packs prices for socks thinner than a sheet of tissue paper. Before we start the list, you need to understand one thing. Every sock is defined by 2 decisions: what fiber goes into the yarn and how that yarn is constructed. These 2 choices determine everything. Open-end spun synthetic blends, the cheapest method. Short fibers are fed into a rotor and twisted by air. The result is a rough, loosely packed yarn that pills on contact, loses elasticity after a handful of washes, and fins at the heel and toe within weeks. This is the sock industry's version of gluing a suit together. Fast, cheap, disposable by design. Ring-spun combed cotton or cotton nylon blends. Longer fibers are aligned, combed, and twisted mechanically. The yarn is tighter, smoother, stronger. It holds its shape longer. It resists pilling. It breathes better against the skin. This is the mid-tier, built to perform, not just to fill a pack. Merino wool or reinforced ring-spun with terry loop cushioning, reinforced heel and toe construction, and a knit-in arch band. Premium tier, moisture wicking, temperature regulating, naturally antimicrobial. A sock built at this level lasts years, not weeks. This is the full canvas of the sock world. Every brand on this list was judged by one question: what is the yarn actually made of, and how is it built? Number 8. Fruit of the Loom. 12 pairs for $15 to $18, roughly $1.30 per sock. Sounds like a deal until you put them on. The construction is open-end spun cotton polyester blend, single ply, thin gauge, no reinforced heel, no reinforced toe. The elastic waistband starts losing tension after 8 to 12 washes. The fabric weight per sock is among the lowest on the market. The estimated production cost sits around 15 to 25 cents per pair. That includes yarn, knitting, finishing, and packaging. Forum after forum tells the same story. The heel migrates under the arch within a single wear. You spend the entire day reaching down to pull it back into place. The toe seam starts fraying within the first month. The fabric thins to near transparency at the ball of the foot in weeks. You can see skin through the sock. At $1.30 per pair, you replace them every 6 to 8 weeks. Over a year, that is $10 to $15 cycling through the same failures again and again. One pair of Darn Tough costs $20 and comes with a lifetime warranty. The cheap option is the expensive one when you measure it in months instead of checkout receipts. A sock that dissolves faster than the receipt you threw away. That is not a deal. That is a subscription to disappointment. Number 7. Hanes. 6-pack for $12 to $18, roughly $2 to $3 per pair. Positioned as America's everyday sock. The name your parents trusted. The pack your office worker grabs without thinking. The construction is open-end spun cotton poly blend. Slightly heavier than Fruit of the Loom, but the same fundamental yarn method. The cushion sole line adds minimal terry loop, but uses the same weak base yarn underneath. That cushion compresses flat within a month of regular wear. Elastic degradation is the primary failure point. The cuff stretches out and the sock slides down into the shoe by midday. You spend half the afternoon tugging it back up. Thread after thread online describes the bunching problem. The sock compresses underfoot, loses its position, and migrates backward into the heel cup. After 15 to 20 washes, the fabric thins visibly at the heel and ball. Hanes spent over $100 million in brand advertising last year. The socks themselves cost roughly 30 to 50 cents to produce per pair. At $3 per pair, with a 3 to 4 month functional life, Hanes costs you roughly $12 a year per slot in your drawer. A single pair of merino smart wool at $18 lasts 2 to 3 years minimum. You are not saving money. You are subscribing to replacement and calling it value. The most recognized name in underwear, selling you socks built on the same business model, that you will come back to buy them again when they fail. And you will, because the pack is right there at the front of the store every single time. Number 6. Calvin Klein. Dress socks at $8 to $16 per pair. Multi-packs at $22 to $38 for 4. Premium pricing for an everyday item that touches nothing but the inside of your shoe. The construction is thin-gauge nylon polyester blend. Minimal cotton content despite the price point. No reinforced heel. No reinforced toe. No cushioning of any kind. The sock is built for appearance on a retail hook, not performance on a human foot. The primary selling point is the logo on the cuff. Forum complaints describe sheerness after 5 or 6 wears, visible skin through the fabric at the ball of the foot. The sock is so thin it offers 0 insulation and 0 moisture management. Your foot sweats into synthetic fabric all day with no absorption and no airflow. Calvin Klein socks are not designed by Calvin Klein. They are manufactured by a licensee, and the brand name is rented for the tag. The production cost per pair sits around 80 cents to $1.20. The retail price carries the full weight of the licensing fee, not the yarn. At $12 per pair, you are $1 away from Bombas. Combed long staple Pima cotton, reinforced heel and toe, honeycomb arch support, and a seamless toe closure. Calvin Klein gives you a logo. Bombas gives you a sock. A $12 sock that performs like a dollar sock wearing a famous man's name on the cuff. That is not fashion. That is a licensing fee with a toe seam. If you are starting to check the labels on your own socks right now, subscribe. We break down what brands actually put inside the product so you do not have to. Number 5. Nike. The everyday lifestyle line, not the performance athletic tier. Everyday crew and no-show socks at $8 to $18 per pair. Multi-packs at $18 to $24 for 6. The swoosh on the ankle. The assumption of athletic engineering. The construction tells a different story. Cotton polyester spandex blend. The dry fit label suggests moisture management, but the everyday line uses a basic poly blend that traps heat rather than wicking it away. Reinforcement is minimal on non-performance SKUs. Nike segments its sock range sharply. The Elite Athletic line uses targeted cushioning and higher-grade yarn. The everyday lifestyle socks sitting next to them on the shelf use the same construction tier as Hanes at 3 to 4 times the price. The swoosh is doing all of the lifting. Consumer complaints focus on 3 recurring issues. Elastic failure. The no-show socks slip off the heel within an hour. Thin spots developing at the toe within weeks of regular wear. And inconsistent sizing between production runs. A medium from one batch fits differently than a medium from the next. Nike's annual marketing spend exceeds $4 billion across all product categories. The sock is an accessory afterthought, not an engineered product. At $16 for a pair of everyday Nike crew socks, you are at the exact price point where darn tough begins. Lifetime warranted merino wool with a cushioned sole, reinforced heel and toe, and knit-in arch support. Same shelf, same number on the tag. One was built by a marketing department. The other was built by a factory that stakes its reputation on every single pair. A $4 billion marketing machine selling you a 50-cent sock at a $16 price point. The swoosh is not a quality guarantee. It is a markup multiplier. Number 4. Gold Toe. 6 packs for $20 to $30. Singles at $6 to $10. Positioned as the reliable American dress sock. The brand your father wore to the office. The name that meant something for decades. The construction used to be ring-spun cotton. Genuine reinforcement at the heel and toe using heavier gauge yarn. The gold-colored toe that gave the brand its name was a real quality marker, a visible indicator of a construction decision that added cost and added life. Not anymore. Current production has transitioned largely to cotton poly blends and fully synthetic lines. The gold toe is still there. The reinforcement behind it is not. The color is now cosmetic, a decoration, not a function. Longtime buyers are the loudest critics. Review after review describes the same decline. Thinner fabric, a looser knit, elastic that gives out faster than it did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. The brand traded on decades of earned trust while quietly downgrading the construction underneath. At $5 to $8 per pair, Gold Toe now competes directly with Hanes and Fruit of the Loom on construction quality. But it charges a legacy premium on the tag. The brand costs more, not because it builds more, it costs more because it used to. A brand that inherited a reputation for quality and spent it like a trust fund, slowly, quietly, until there was nothing left but a gold-colored toe and a name that used to mean something. 5 brands, all of them selling yarn and elastic at prices that suggest something better inside. But 3 brands refuse to cut that corner. And the difference is not what you see on the shelf, it is what you feel at the end of the day. Number 3. Bombas. Most sock companies start with a price point and build down to it. Bombas started with a list of complaints and engineered away from them. Every design choice solves a specific problem that the first 5 brands on this list ignore completely. Seamless toe closure. No irritation ridge pressing into the tops of your toes inside a shoe. A blister tab at the heel. A padded strip that prevents the shoe collar from rubbing raw skin. Honeycomb arch support knitted directly into the structure, not sewn on as an afterthought. A stay-up cuff that grips without constricting. The fiber is long staple Pima cotton with reinforced heel and toe panels built from nylon blend yarn. The sock holds its shape. The cushion does not compress flat after the first month. Price point sits at $12 to $17 per pair, directly competing with Calvin Klein and Nike on the shelf. But underneath the price tag, fundamentally different construction. The direct-to-consumer model keeps the margin honest. No licensing fees, no department store markup, no wholesale layer eating into the yarn budget. The brand built its growth almost entirely through word of mouth, and its one purchased, one donated model. No Super Bowl ads, no celebrity endorsement deals. Growth built on the product working, not the logo trending. At $14, Bombas gives you what Calvin Klein charges $12 to not give you. That alone tells you who built a sock and who rented a name. Number 2. Smart wool. The material advantage here changes the entire category. Merino wool. Not the scratchy, heavy wool of your grandfather's winter socks. Fine gauge merino that is softer than cotton against the skin and outperforms it in every measurable way. Temperature regulation. Merino insulates when it is cold and breathes when it is warm. The same sock works in January and in July. Moisture wicking. Merino absorbs up to 30% of its weight in moisture before it even feels damp. Your foot stays dry in conditions where cotton would be soaked through by noon. Natural odor resistance. The fiber itself has antimicrobial properties. You can wear merino socks 2 or 3 days running without noticeable smell. Cotton cannot do that. Polyester definitely cannot do that. Construction includes reinforced heel and toe using nylon blend yarn, a flat knit toe seam that eliminates the irritation ridge, and targeted cushion zones mapped to the areas of the foot that take the most impact. Price runs $16 to $24 per pair. The wool is sourced under responsible wool standards with full supply chain traceability. These socks last 2 to 3 years of heavy weekly rotation. Contrast that honestly. Smart wool costs 5 times what Hanes costs per pair, but delivers 10 to 15 times the functional lifespan. The math does not favor the cheap option. It punishes it. One honest drawback. Merino can pill if you tumble dry on high heat consistently. Air drying extends the life significantly. That is the trade-off. One small care step for years of performance. Every brand in the first half of this video asks for nothing and gives you nothing in return. Number 1. Darn tough. One fact ends every debate about this brand: unconditional lifetime warranty. If the sock develops a hole, a thin spot, any defect, at any point, for any reason, ever, you send it back and receive a new pair free. No receipt required, no time limit, no questions asked. That is not a marketing gimmick printed on a hang tag. That is a business model built on the certainty that the product will not fail. Construction: fine-gauge merino wool blended with nylon for durability. Reinforced heel and toe panels. True seamless toe closure. Knit-in arch support that holds tension wash after wash. Every single sock is manufactured in their own factory in Northfield, Vermont. Not licensed out, not outsourced to a contract knitter overseas. One factory, one standard, complete control from yarn to shipping box. Price sits at $20 to $30 per pair. Now here is the comparison that defines this entire video. A 6-pack of Hanes at $15 lasts roughly 3 months before the elastic fails, the heel thins, and the toe seam splits. One pair of Darn Tough at $20 lasts a lifetime with a warranty standing behind it. Over 5 years, the Hanes drawer costs $60 to $80 in constant replacements. The single pair of Darn Tough costs $20 once. And if it ever fails, which it will not, you get a new pair anyway. Marcus Clifton, the factory manager, once said the warranty is the easiest promise the company makes because the return rate is under 1%. They built the warranty not as a sales tool, but as proof that they had already solved the problem. That is the simplest decision in the entire sock market, and it is the reason Darn Tough is #1 on this list. 8 brands, 1 question: what is the yarn made of and how is it built? 5 answered with open-end spun synthetics and bargain bin elastic. 3 answered with reinforced natural fibers and engineered construction. The price tags overlapped. The lifespans did not. Next time you reach for a pack of socks, do not look at the brand name first. Flip the package over. Read the fiber content on the back. If it leads with polyester, if the composition label is missing entirely, if no one anywhere on the packaging will tell you how the yarn was made, that is your answer. A sock that hides what it is made of was never built to last. It was built to be replaced, and now you know the difference. Subscribe if you want more breakdowns like this. And if you want to see which clothing brands failed the same kind of test, watch the video on screen now. Drop a comment with the brand that surprised you most.